Welcome back, fast food fanatics, to our post Thanksgiving Day special. Today, we're going to be doing leftover Thanksgiving sandwiches. Let's crush some calories.
Fast food, face off! Fast food, face off! Fast food, face off!
First and foremost, let me be the first one to say that I hope you guys had an awesome Thanksgiving, and what better way to bring in the month of December than by figuring out what to do with all of those delicious Thanksgiving leftovers and sides, right? And that's exactly what we're gonna do. Every year around this time, these companies put out their sandwiches. Wawa has the Gobbler, and Quick Chek has the Thanksgiving Everyday sandwich. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with these companies, they're really popular competitors of like packaged good and food in the tri-state area and then kind of along the East Coast. We're gonna see which one of these companies deserves your money. Let's get into it. So first up, we have the original Gobbler sandwich from Wawa. This is kind of the OG as far as Thanksgiving leftover sandwiches are concerned. I'm sure that a bunch of you, no matter where you are in the United States, has probably had some version of this from, places near you. But I know that Wawa was kind of the pack leaders in kind of setting the trend for having this type of a sandwich around this time of year. Enough of that, let's see how it tastes. I'll let you guys get the first look. First bite. So that is very good. This tastes like you made it yourself. So you got some, don't know whether or not you guys can hear that, but some nice crispy bread. The stuffing has great flavor to it. You get that rosemary, that onion, a little bit of that garlic, and then it's kind of balanced out by that tang and that sweetness of the cranberry. And then the turkey that Wawa uses isn't like deli sliced turkey. It's kind of like rotisserie style turkey. It's way better this way. Honestly, there's no other way to explain it. This is like if you just took the leftovers that you had inside of your fridge and then just put it on like some crispy bread. This is it. Welcome back, fast food fans. Today we're going to be hitting you guys off with some fun Thanksgiving facts and history along the way, starting off with a 2015 study that showed that 8 out of 10 Americans prefer the Thanksgiving leftovers to the actual meal. Everything that Wawa did with this was well thought out, like even down to like the small elements of it. So like the turkey, like I had said about it being rotisserie style, you can kind of see where like the crispness meets on the edge and the browning of the actual kind of the turkey element itself, the balance of kind of the salt and the sweet, and even the overall texture of everything, that it's not all just mush, even though there are softer components in here. It's just a really well thought out balanced sandwich, considering that Wawa is essentially just a packaged good convenience store. Overeating is almost a rite of passage during the holiday season, but the New York Times actually calculated that most people consume between 2,500 to 4,500 calories for their Thanksgiving meal, or just another day at the office for me. Last bite. So this is pretty much the same thing as their kind of OG Gobbler sandwich. It's just that they substituted the stuffing for mashed potatoes, and then they also added a garlic aioli. And I'm curious to see how those flavor profiles work with this version as opposed to the original. So right off the bat, you're getting the creamy mashed potatoes. You're definitely getting that kind of garlic aioli sauce that they have in there, and it's marrying really well with the turkey and then the gravy. I would say the only slightly disappointing thing about this is that either they forgot or I'm just not picking it up because there wasn't enough in there. There just doesn't seem to be any cranberry sauce in here. And honestly, I don't even know that I'm completely mad at it. I think that they should have kept it this way so that it was just a different take from the original. This is almost more of a savory bite, and I'm not mad at this. I think that you take something like this and maybe even throw on like kind of like the green bean casserole topping, like French onions. That would complement this style of sandwich more than something like cranberry sauce would. Guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and then to turn on the notifications so that you can stay up to date with what we have going on in future videos. And also, like the video if you enjoy the content, and please share this around so that we can stay growing that tasty vibe tribe. Back to the sandwich. Cranberry sauce might not be everybody's favorite side, but that doesn't stop Americans from consuming 80 million pounds of it during Thanksgiving, with over 5 million gallons of it being that jellied stuff you find inside of the cans. If you did want to kind of, vibe out with a little bit of more of the sweet and the salty, they make this in another iteration where it has sweet potatoes on it, which I've had, and it's equally delicious. It's just whether or not you are a sweet potato fan. Wawa pro tip: get your sandwiches toasted. It's an option for when you order them that some places like this don't do, but Wawa does, and I like mine toasted. Last bite. Quick Chek's Thanksgiving Everyday Sandwich. So this is basically Quick Chek's take on what the Gobbler is. It is turkey, it's stuffing, it's cranberry sauce, and I believe that they put mayo on this as well. Something else to note is that this is sliced deli style turkey and not that rotisserie style turkey that Wawa was offering. I'm curious to see how that plays into the overall texture and then the flavor profile itself. I'll let you guys get a look. First bite. So initial impression is, I would say, positive side. This sandwich itself kind of holds up better, I think, with the turkey being deli slices. It's a little bit more uniform of a bite. That being said, I do think that when you bit into Wawa's, it felt like a rustic home style leftover sandwich, whereas this definitely has more of an appeal of something that's store-bought. Not necessarily that that's good or bad, it's just there's something very comforting about something that seems homemade, especially when you get it from, a box store, right? In the US, 46 million turkeys are eaten during the holiday season, and with the average turkey sold in grocery stores weighing just over 30 pounds, that means Americans are eating nearly 1.4 billion pounds of turkey on Thanksgiving. I think the reason why I feel like this doesn't kind of vibe the same way the Wawa one does is because there's no gravy on this. The turkey, because it's just deli turkey, they went and substituted that fat, kind of unctuous flavor with the mayonnaise, which isn't bad. It makes it more of like a deli style sandwich, but I do think gravy would have been the better call as opposed to mayonnaise for this. Have you ever wondered what happens to those turkeys that get pardoned by the president? Well, between 2005 and 2009, they went to Disneyland and Disney World parks to serve as Grand Marshal in their annual Thanksgiving Day parades. Also, the mayonnaise plays with this in a weird way. Not good or bad, just your mileage may vary on what you like. This definitely favors more on the sweet side of things than the Wawa sandwich did. So what's cool about what Quick Chek does with their Thanksgiving Everyday Sandwich is they partner up with Check Out Hunger, which is an organization that ends up donating 100% of the proceeds from its charity to local community programs for feeding local families. When you buy this sub or the wrap, you are donating 25% of the purchase to that organization. So it's nice, you get to feed yourself, and then in doing so, you get to kind of help feed those a little less fortunate than you during the holiday season, which is great. And speaking of helping out locally, if you guys could, head on over to our Instagram and give us a follow and a like so that you can keep us up to date with what you want to see on the show as far as the content for the channel. So I'm going to finish this up and then I'm going to move on to the wrap. And finally, we have the Thanksgiving Everyday Wrap. which is essentially the same as the sub that Quick Chek offers, except one, obviously it's in a tortilla, and two, they put what they call anytime spuds in this, which is pretty much just kind of like a hash brownie kind of potato bite type thing in here. And I'm curious to see the textural difference between something like that as opposed to, say, like the creamier, more rustic style mashed potatoes that were in the Wawa Gobbler. Let you guys get a look. First bite. Americans eat a lot of potatoes on Thanksgiving, 214 million pounds worth, give or take. And that's not including the 3 million pounds of prepared mashed potatoes from grocery stores. Not done that great. I think something like mashed potatoes would have been better for this, just because the textures that they do have in there aren't bad. It's just not quite as good as what Wawa was able to accomplish with similar ingredients and flavor profiles. Still tasty though. And I will say that the cranberry flavor in this is a bit stronger than the one in Wawa. Not necessarily for or against, just something to note that you are getting a little bit more cranberry vibe in this one as opposed to Wawa's. The ratio of ingredients to the actual wrap itself, I think, is better in the wrap. It makes for a better, more composed bite. The texture balance is there and the flavor balance is now there because you're not competing with just a bunch of bread. Also, the stuffing kind of reminds me of, I don't know whether or not you guys are familiar with it, most people probably are, is like the stovetop stuffing. As a 90s kid, that was just kind of like, you know, what my mom used for our Thanksgiving festivities. I'd be curious to know what's, you know, your guys' family holiday tradition. What is it that you do with the leftovers from the holiday meals? Do you guys box them up and then, you know, let everybody just kind of take their leftovers home? Do you repurpose them? You know, do you give them away to like friends and family? Let me know down in the comment section. Let's finish her up. Last bite. Let's get into that final review. We have Wawa and Quick Chek and their interpretations of Thanksgiving leftovers, right? Who do I think is the winner? Plain and simple, Wawa. It was just much better quality. The bread was better. The overall balance of the flavors of kind of that sweet, savory, the consistency of the stuffing, the fact that they use oven roasted turkey as opposed to kind of like sliced deli turkey, the gravy and the aioli, it was a much more thought out sandwich as opposed to what Quick Chek is doing, which honestly isn't bad, but it tastes exactly like what it is, which is essentially just kind of like a quick stop deli style interpretation of leftovers that you would have from Thanksgiving. I just think all of the things that were better about Wawa sandwich were just not quite as good with the Quick Chek sandwich. Stuff to note would be that the Wawa sandwich is a bit smaller than Quick Chek's. That's something to just keep in mind. And the price is reflected. The Wawa sandwich, even though I think it's the superior sandwich, is a bit cheaper by about $2 or so. We'll have the price up here for you guys. And then the calories for everything was pretty comparable as far as the size and the value. Again, we'll probably have the calories up here so that you guys can check them out. The only thing I didn't want to miss as far as Quick Chek is that I do think if you vibe on what Quick Chek does and you were just a Quick Chek person over what Wawa is, I know that that's kind of like dividing lines in the tri-state area, that I would go with the wrap sooner than I would go with the sandwich. The wrap kind of let the cranberry sauce and the stuffing and all of that kind of speak for itself, and it did just taste a bit better than the actual sandwich from Quick Chek. Thanks again for watching, guys. We always appreciate it. Make sure to head on over to our Instagram. We're going to be having some viewer polls to help with some of the decisions in the future kind of holiday videos that we have planned as far as the choices for those videos. So stay tuned for that. And remember, if you are what you eat, always eat amazing.